Yep. Guess who's live? That is exactly right. Yes, yes, and yes. We're live in 2 minutes. Wow. How about that? Oh, wow. Okay. Here we go. Look at that. The day of reckoning with Magritte. Yep. Looks like it's here. All right, folks, we're live in 1 minute. 1 minute. One minute. Un momento. Yes, it is. Here we go. It was fun last night, wasn't it? Good time had by all. There's Lynn Miller. Magritte says the day of reckoning. There's Ryan. Good afternoon. That's right, Anthony Santos. All right, folks, we're live. We're just waiting for JR to give me the cue, and then whether people like it or not, we're going to be live on the radio. They're trying. They're trying to stop the chosen one. They're not going to. There we go, folks. 12:06. There's the cue we've been waiting for. There's the Friday cue. That's where JR comes in and says, "You're live on the radio. Let's go right now." That's what I am talking about, folks. Good afternoon. You're listening. Is this the real noon? No. Is this the real news at noon? Anthony Santos. Yes, it is. Folks, good afternoon. And it's a big day because Governor Magritte is promising a day of reckoning where this is the day that he predicts. This is Governor McKee now saying heads will roll. People will be held accountable. How many people will be terminated by 5 o'clock with his administration or DOT? This is the day of reckoning that people have been waiting for. First of all, I'll answer the question. None. No one will. What are you, nuts? They've already been enjoying a 4-day week because of the. I don't mind victory over Japan Day, by the way. I don't. All right. But this is the real news at noon. He had his big today. Magritte is promising a day of reckoning, of which those. What? They're going to launch some lawsuits against some contractors who most likely are insured for this type of thing. So they're basically, this is the day of insurance forms is what it's going to be. But I'm going to tell you about it. Folks, this portion of the program, there should be a day of reckoning in East Providence. There should be. This is the day that Lynn Miller, the queen of the East Bay, fearless Lynn Miller, fearless, who 4 years ago broke the story, Mother's Day weekend, Tarquatin Gate, will always remain thanks to Lynn Miller. Today should be the day that the people in the space say, finally, this is what we've been waiting for. Mayor De Silva, high five. None of that is going to happen because there is no day of reckoning. What? With this clown car? These people with Waltz down in Newport? Right? Like, all right, do we have the money? Good. Let me give my 13-minute speech and then out of there. Telling you, like an ATM trip. Some of the Dems down in Newport for the big. By the way, I'm glad Salve pushing back. Why that guy was held the fundraiser there, but some of the people, I've never seen such leadership. Well, that's not saying much, right? Some of the people that attended the Governor Waltz, we've never seen such leadership. Well, what type of leadership? The guy was basically in the state for less than an hour. It was like a robbery. Basically, it was like in the town when they take down Fenway Park. So, I mean, that's got to be almost like a record. That's like something out of the movie Heat. That the bank is worth the stretch. 1 hour touchdown. TF Green, Newport, boom, back, gone. Total time, 1 hour. Take, he cleared 650K. That's a pretty good take for an hour. So good work if you can get it. In and out, boom. All right, this portion of the program. Locally sourced vegetables, sweet corn, native tomatoes means one thing. PR Landscape Materials and Garden Center, 3688 Quaker Lane in North Kingstown. Steve Debbie Jr. in Byron. Hanging pots, everything you need, annuals, perennials, trees, and shrubs. Folks, they are full-scale nursery, Rhode Island's #1 garden center. It's PR Landscape Materials and Garden Center. So pop in and see them. Again, 3688 Quaker Lane in North Kingstown. Large selection of beautiful patio pots, vegetable plants and herbs, tropical mandevillas, hibiscus plants, everything that you are looking for, but especially delicious. And there's nothing like nice, fresh vegetables like sweet corn and native tomatoes. It's PR Landscape Materials and Garden Center. All right, now we have some stories and videos coming up. We're going to post on DePetro.com, which is brought to you by the Cowesett Inn. 226 Cowesett Avenue, West Warwick. Lunch, dinner, drinks with Anthony Santos in the lounge. It's a win. They're waiting for you in the market at Cowesett, the Cowesett Inn. All right, I want to get to so Governor McGreed down the dial. They're trumpeting. Oh, he's not. He and Matos, they're ready, right? W. McKearo, they're ready to throw down the gauntlet. Yep. Here it is, breaking. Attorney General Peter Neronha and Governor McGreed have announced lawsuits against all Washington Bridge contractors. The state is suing 13 companies alleging negligence and breach of contract. So this is just coming down. They're going to sue 13 companies over the what? Governor McGreed has announced Jonathan Savage, Max Wistow filing lawsuits, 13 companies. All right, so the law firms are going to obviously make out with this whole thing. Outside legal team, filing of lawsuit, 13 companies that provided design, construction, and inspection services. Lieutenant Governor Matos is saying this time they're not fooling around. They're going to go after the MAGA Republicans that built the bridge. MAGA Republicans built the bridge. The lawsuit seeks to hold accountable those companies responsible for the near-miss catastrophic closure of the bridge. And the only way out is to donate to the McKee for Governor campaign in 2026 in order to compensate the state. In the alleged complaint, the companies failed to timely and adequately identify structural issues. They failed to donate to the McKee campaign, unexpected closure of the Washington Bridge. They missed 2 brown paper bag payments. It's alleged there were multiple failures over multiple years to bring problems to the bridge. Rhode Island Department of Transportation, of which no one will be suspended or terminated or lose their job. Lieutenant Governor Matos says this is the day of reckoning for the MAGA Republicans that let down the people of the state with this bridge. In the complaint, the state brings claims of breach of contract, failure to pay off the governor's top people, failure, fiduciary duty, negligence against the following, failure to donate to the governor's campaign, failure to donate to the lieutenant governor's campaign. So the defendants, AECOM Technical, Aetna Bridge, Trump campaign, Aries Support Services, Barletta Heavy Division, Barletta Aetna, Collins Engineers, Commonwealth Engineers, Jacobs Engineering, the Rhode Island Republican Party, Prime AE Group. I don't know these people. The emergency closure of the bridge has strained our state. Governor McGreed, as promised, The state is pursuing accountability from all responsible parties, especially the MAGA Republicans, who we have asserted contributed to the current situation. They have failed to make the agreed upon payoffs. They have failed to donate to my campaign, and they will be held accountable. We look forward to an outcome that will benefit my campaign and the taxpayers. The state has engaged the law firms of Wistow, Sheehan, Lovely, Savage Law Partners, blah, blah, blah. So there you have it, folks. The big. Now, I don't see, number one, does this straighten out the situation? No, it does not. I also don't get the Friday news dump. Who delivers this on a Friday? No press conference, anything like that. No one will be held accountable. Sure sounds like a number of people missed some payments here. They were supposed to be making in order to secure a lot of this stuff. But we'll continue to break it down. Folks, this portion of our program, hey, I want to remind you, if you're thinking of remodeling your home or business, AJ Home Improvement, call them today, 401-323-9252. Painting, remodeling, frame to finish basements, acoustical ceilings, new homes, additions, commercial rehabs, painting, remodeling. They do it all. As you're listening on this Friday, if you've been thinking of redoing your home or business, maybe sometimes just a fresh coat of paint, AJ Home Improvement, 401-323-9252. Again, for new homes, frame to finish basements, acoustical ceilings, painting, remodeling, they do it all. AJ Home Improvement, 401-323-9252. If you're thinking of having some work done on your home, maybe you have an unfinished basement or garage, call AJ, 401-323-9252. You can also find them on Facebook. Folks, I also want to, many times I get tipped off on stuff. And obviously, you can't follow up on everything. But I do want to give credit to, and I had mentioned this quite some time ago, and Rhode Island sues 13 companies, tries to pass the buck on the bridge situation. But, it's interesting. I had heard from a number of people that they thought they were getting ripped off in dealing with these Flood Automotive. And wouldn't you know it, people who bought cars the last few years with these Flood Automotive will receive refund checks after the companies reach settlement, the state totaling more than $1 million. Flood Ford, Flood Mazda Reach Greenwich, Flood Ford of Narragansett. So apparently what they would do, according to the settlement, they would charge basically $200 fee automatic for an add-on product without getting you to consent about it. So, and I'll also say this, I'm not going to name names. There's someone within that group that back in the spring that I had some dealings with, and I think they could tell that I was looking into their situation. So now this is not like one or two. It's over 5,000 people are going to start getting money back from them. But, it's just one of those things. It's like right in plain sight. And if you're purchasing a vehicle, that's not the type of thing that you would pick up on. When you're dealing with thousands of dollars, if you suddenly see a $200 fee added on and all the different things that are going on with it, you may not pick up on it. So I tried to have some communication with them. And one individual, again, I won't say who, but acted very bizarre. It was very bizarre behavior to me. And now, since this thing has come to light, I realize why that individual was acting very oddly, to put it mildly. Folks, that's why, it is my pleasure to tell you about Volare Motors. Volare Motors is the opposite. They're not going to rip you off. That apparently Flood did and had to settle. So, that's just, they settled with the Attorney General, admitted they ripped all these people off. Valari Motors won't do that. No, that's not what Paul is all about. Paul Staskevich, he's the real, he is someone who is ingrained in the city. He is someone that you can depend on. Valari Motors is who you want to do business with. Great prices, great vehicles, great service, 27 years of specialized Volvo sales and service. It's Valari Motors. By the way, with Flood, I'm hearing it's the tip of the iceberg, but let's just focus on Valari. 1003 Park Avenue in Cranston. 27 years of specialized Volvo sales and service. New England's #1 dealer in pre-owned Volvo sales and service. Again, great prices, great vehicles, great service. Valari Motors in Cranston. Look for them on Facebook and then also their website, which is valarimotors.com. But the key here is not only could you trade in your vehicle, see, the key to me is Stephen the mechanic. Because when you deal with Valari Motors, you're going to want to have your vehicle service there. You have to be able to depend on that person. You're going to have trust there. Valari Motors, there's a reason why they're New England's #1 dealer in pre-owned Volvo sales and service. Pop in and see Paul at Valari Motors, 1003 Park Avenue in Cranston, and they would love to trade in your vehicle. Pop in and see them. Well, folks, good afternoon. You're listening to the John DePetro Show. You know, it's amazing. Some of these businesses around us, Rhode Island car dealerships, send refund checks after settlement, and they settled with the Attorney General's office. I hate seeing this type of thing. Why people go in and you think you're doing business with reputable individuals. And then, I drive by this all the time. Flood Ford, Flood Mazda of East Greenwich, Flood Ford of Narragansett. Why are you tacking on ripping you're already doing business with the people. They got your business. Why are you, according to the Attorney General's office, Deceptive Trade Act, and the DMV, that then they're tacking on $200? And you're not talking about just like one person. That's just 5,000 people, and that's just the people that they've caught. You know, a lot of times, as someone has reminded me, many times when they catch people like this, it's not the first time they've done it. It's the first time they got caught doing it. So I've heard rumblings about this for some time, and there were several people that came forward to me. I passed it along to the Attorney General's office. I have no idea if that played any role in going after them. But I mean, how many people? This type of stuff, it shatters your confidence. What's your word worth? You're standing there, shaking the hand. Yes, good deal. We're going to be fair with you. And they're ripping you off the whole time. I'm also just seeing this. So a new proposal to ban temporary shelters on city property in Cranston brought strong opposition. Under the proposal, this is NBC 10, violators would be charged a $50 fine. Any shelter not moved after 24 hours can be removed by the city. Who's going after them? The ACLU. Listen, I don't blame Cranston. Nope. And the chief of police in Cranston, Chief Winquist, said there are some serious concerns. I've been out these encampments. There's open fires, propane tanks. They use needles, syringes. So they don't want to have it. Cranston Mayor Hopkins concerned for the homeless. So I don't blame Cranston. I like that they are standing up to this. I like that they're not going to put up with it. They don't want to have Tent City. They don't want to have all these encampments. No one wants to turn our area of the country into what we're seeing on the West Coast. And I think it is important. And folks, that's the battle that we're in right now. And that's why I want to talk about, what is this though? Rhode Island officials file lawsuits. That doesn't mean anyone's being held accountable. McGreed, as I promised, accountability. All of it. This guy, for him to be standing there in Newport, they Waltz and Harris want to adopt the McKee plan for the country. Who wants that? Nobody is the answer. Nobody. All right, let's do our Race for the White House 2024 update. Folks, this Race for the White House 2024 update, folks, is brought to you by Propane Plus. Remember, in Rhode Island, for all your propane needs, heating and cooling, call Propane Plus today, 401-885-4209. In Massachusetts, 508-252-3359 for Propane Plus. So yesterday, as you know, Vice President candidate now, Waltz, was at the White House. Next week will be the big DNC, Democrat National Committee, the convention in Chicago. And we'll carry some of the highlights of it. I'm not going to be glued to it. I want to see some of the things they throw out. But folks, right now, this is a pivotal time. And I think I get the sense the Trump campaign, they recognize how much is on the line. And again, I believe you have to be objective. I believe, and if many people don't want that, by the way, I can accept that. There are some people that just want a certain type. I don't know what it is. It's like fairy tale news, but they just want to keep hearing echo chamber type stuff. That's fine. That's fine. That's not, I think there's more value. It's more my instinct to just be objective. If a mistake is made, I believe, and I appreciate people that will say that was good, that was wrong. So right now, I like how they are trying to adapt a little bit. He's not easy. I'll say that. President Trump is 77 years old. Very tough to teach an old dog new tricks. He's got to pivot. He's got to adjust. People can scream up and down that this is, I mean, I don't know where that's going to get them, that this isn't fair. By the way, there are people still out there that think at the convention, Biden's going to come out and he's the nominee. I don't know what to say to that. There are some people that still think at the convention, Michelle Obama is going to be announced as the nominee. Why would you do that? It's Harris. It's Harris. She's not going to do any interviews. She's not going to. The Washington Post did an editorial that said, okay, there is a difference between just trying to win the campaign and then you're going to govern. They're not worried about that right now. This is, let's win, then we'll try to figure out how to govern. That is the strategy there right now, employing. And she is not good with interviews, so she's not going to do interviews. But I am encouraged that yesterday, President Trump, they had some props for him. They even put some grocery items to show how much that has gone up. I mean, anyone, Wall Street people, hedge fund people, financial experts will say things definitely function better under President Trump. I believe that is the winning message. And he's at least saying out loud that people are suggesting he draw the contrast between what his policies would be compared to Harris. So I believe that's the key to victory. So I'm a little concerned that certain people are going to re-enter the orbit, like a Corey Lewandowski and people like that. I know there are some people that say he was great. He was not part of the winning team that got him in the White House. It wasn't. Nope. If you were paying attention the way I was and communicating with them, September, October 2016, the two people that put him in the White House and turned around the campaign, I don't care what anyone says, was Kellyanne Conway and Steve Bannon. Those two people. Corey Lewandowski, they cut him loose in the spring. And he couldn't work with anybody. And I still don't think he can work with anybody. So I don't know why the field to bring him back in, this whole thing of you got to let Trump be Trump. I don't go along with that. There's a method to it. He's not the same candidate he was. He was 69 years old at the time. President Trump is 77. He's going to be 79 next June. Stop talking about Biden. Stop the attacks. Stop playing. I like the idea And he once he stopped being so defensive about it, he warmed up to the idea of that he'd like to have Nikki Haley out there. And I mean, I like the idea of that. I'll tell you, I know who doesn't like that. I'll tell you, Tucker Carlson doesn't like the idea. Marjorie Taylor Greene, like people like that, they don't like the idea. You know what I like? I like the idea of President Trump winning the White House. This isn't, it's not a collegial debate. This isn't about clicks. I get the whole thing of like Tucker and Don Jr. and JD Vance. They like to sit in a room and have these discussions about what are you talking about? Like folks, if Trump Vance don't win, we are, I don't know what's going to happen. And I'm not an alarmist, but right now they have to do something to counter her momentum. I think it should be an all hands on deck. As I have said, I like that Nikki Haley was on Fox. The two people that I would like to see out on the trail for President Trump would be Nikki Haley, former governor, former ambassador, and also Governor DeSantis. I thought the two of them were very good at the convention. I think the two of them are really the future of the Republican Party. All right, so he didn't pick her. It doesn't mean that she can't have a role in his administration. Maybe she could be Secretary of State. She was the ambassador to the UN. I'm just saying, I recognize there are some people that start to name call her and they can't stand her. And even like I like Ann Coulter a lot, and I've interviewed Ann Coulter many times. And if I saw her right now, she knows who I am, and I like her humor. She likes my. She doesn't like Nikki Haley. I think. I mean, I liked Ann Coulter, but I think because her parents are from India. Like I don't. What is the benefit of losing? There's no benefit to losing. I agree with Vince Lombardi. Winning isn't the most important thing. It's the only thing. If someone told me that if President Trump, I don't know who you want to throw out, just put, I'm just trying to think who, remember the guy, who was that guy? Anthony Scaramucci. If someone told me, if Trump could get him out of the campaign trail, that would win the election, then like whatever. That's the only thing that matters is winning this election. Because I'm counting on it. I'm counting on it. This is so important. I'll even be more honest. I don't know if I can remain in the Northeast if he doesn't win. I'm counting on President Trump to win. And then many of their policies would start to reform our region. But if Walz Harris gets in, I am kind of failing to see the appeal of remaining in Rhode Island, Massachusetts, Northeast area. I think we're going to be totally overrun. Good God. So therefore, I come at it as like, and I know at different times people say this is the most important election of our lifetime. I just don't know. Look at right now the state. Look at what McGreed has done. In 2.5 years, Governor McKee has put us into basically a third world type state. So Harris, Walz, and then, Walz, they would be then like siding with McGreed. My point is there's so much at stake. Folks, this portion of our program, I want to remind you about Dreammaker. Someone asked me just the other day that they're thinking of redoing their kitchen or bath. Dreammaker. Call them today, 401-433-7272. Now, I did a live stream of their state-of-the-art design center. It's right on Greenwich Avenue near Crown Plaza. Dreammaker, because that's what they do. They make your dreams. 401-433-7272. Dreammaker Bath and Kitchen. They take you from concept to completion. If you saw it, I mean, Dennis and Christina, they're the real deal. And they're so knowledgeable. and you want to talk about respect, integrity, customer focus. Listen, I know it's a Friday, and maybe you're thinking of redoing your kitchen or bath. I am just telling you, you're not going to do any better than Dennis and Christina with Dream Maker. Give them a chance. Give them a turn at bat. Crying out loud. Transition from dreams to reality. Experience upgraded living. But on top of that, if you saw the live stream I did with them, it's real. It's genuine. I think the world of them. They are. I strongly implore you to contact them with your kitchen or bath. 401-433-7272 for Dream Maker. Well, folks, good afternoon. Hey, Westphal Virus, West Nile, it is prevalent now in our area. I have been telling you, if you want to get rid of the mosquitoes, ticks, your yard, folks, Mosquito Joe, Rhode Island, they're the real deal. I'm their biggest fan. They treated my property. Mosquito Joe and the mosquitoes will go. Mosquito Joe and the mosquitoes will go. Mosquito Joe, Rhode Island, have them treat your property. I sit outside. We're not bitten. I had a friend over. We're sitting outside. He's like, this is amazing. My friend said, if I was sitting out of my yard, he'd get eaten alive. Not with Mosquito Joe. Look for them on Facebook. This is such a good company. Such a great company. 401-426-2032. Contact me. I'll tell you. Mosquito Joe, Rhode Island, West Nile virus. All right. Now, but just getting back to the White House. It's not cause to panic, but I agree they have to switch strategy. You have a different opponent. You have a different opponent. No one said it's fair. No one said you have to like it. You have a different opponent. America is not sold on VP Harris. And I wouldn't worry about her VP selection so much. It's about her. This is going to come down to, hear me out. This is going to come down to are people going to vote for him or are they going to vote for her? And I believe President Trump has the opportunity. I mean, if I could vote today, I would vote today. I would never vote for her. I would never vote for her. No, I wouldn't vote for her because I know what her policies are, and they're not good for us. There's nothing good about it for us. I have no interest in seeing 4 years of a Harris. I mean, what she's already talking about is a form of like socialism, communism, but it's progressive policies that fail. But if President Trump, if he can thread the needle and make the argument of, and first and foremost, the economy, obviously, but then beyond that, it's quality of life. It's, yes, it is the border, but it's also, it is law and order. And it's not your imagination. You look in these Democrat-run states and cities, and there is an element of chaos there, that they bring chaos. Listen, there's no such thing as a perfect candidate, but they've got to get him engaged. And yesterday, I mean, it was a start. It was a start with the different props at the press briefing. I still think he was on too long, and I'm being objective. I praised the Republican convention. I still get goosebumps when you see the attempt on his life, and then he gets up there with the pumping of the fist. That was just, I mean, it's such a remarkable what happened there. It is. And I know at the convention, President Trump said, I'm going to talk about this and not talking about it again. And I'm glad he's reconsidering, because it's so compelling when he talks about that. You know what else that I don't think, and I did tell this to someone with the campaign. See, I think the reason most people would have panicked and ran, and that would have been a natural reaction. When you see there's a nightclub, a mall, some public gathering, and there's shots fired and people run, that's a natural instinct. The Trump crowd didn't do that. They ducked down, and then they got back up, and then they were cheering him on. The Harris crowd would have run. The Waltz crowd would have run. McKee wouldn't have had a crowd. That's how much his supporters have faith and trust in him. I think he's very compelling when he talks about it. I understand why he said at the convention. I'm going to talk about this once. I'm never going to talk about it again. I think they realize, though, it's a stronger message. It was a defining moment. There's nothing wrong with talking about a defining moment in your life. Everyone seemingly has them, right? I had one late last year that I don't care what anyone says. It is true, right? Cancer surgery. Last year at this time, I was dealing with it. What am I going to do about it? It absolutely impacts your life. And that clearly impacted his life. All right. Here are some headlines. Fall preview. Harris and Trump have never been in the same room together. That's interesting. Fresh economic indicators could spell trouble for the Trump campaign. That's interesting. New danger, overexposure. This is why he needs the surrogates out there. I agree with that. They do need, I like the idea of Nikki Haley being out on the campaign trail. I like the idea. I like J.D. Vance. I don't know if he's enough to sway people, but I think J.D. Vance, Nikki Haley, Ron DeSantis, use some of the surrogates out there. Some of the headlines, though. George Will, his act is losing appeal. It does seem a little stale. It does seem a little stale. Peggy Noonan, the biggest speech of her life. True. She's now at 53%. Michael Moore, the Dems could still blow it. That's true. President Trump to be surrounded with bulletproof glass at outdoor events. I don't know if I like that. Just do indoor events. I don't know. Maybe they tested it. I don't like the way that plays out. Possibly. I mean, the only thing about that is you still let people lose their life. I mean, someone was killed. There were 2 people in critical condition. I don't know about, all right, so he's going to be okay, but what if a gunman is then firing at people in the crowd? I don't know if I like I'm going to leave that to them. I think the overexposure is something to be said. I think, and also, I know people aren't going to like this. It is tough if the act remains the same. It is. And every time you see him, we know the whole drill, right? The Navy suit. That's why his fiery speech that he ended one of the rallies in North Carolina with, it was so refreshing because sometimes he would just kind of go through the motions. It's not easy, whether you are, and I'm just going to talk about an act, whether you're Billy Joel or Bruce Springsteen or Lee Greenwood or anyone. After a while, if you've been around for a while, the act can get a little old and it needs something. It needs something different. I don't know if he'll ever lose the blue suit and the red tie, and I'm not saying that changes everything, but someone could say that makes no difference at all, but I don't know. Maybe a new look a little bit. I don't want to get too in the weeds. Maybe it would have no bearing at all. Again, I don't want to hone on it. I'm not saying, I'm sure the campaign, they test those types of things. I want to come back to, that's when it's going to come down to. Who should be in charge over the next 4 years? Who's going to do the best for the economy? Who's going to keep the country safe? Who's going to be the best for the American people? And it's going to be the choice of either him or her. I believe a danger is if too many people just start to regard him as this nasty loudmouth. That's a danger. That's a danger. And I don't think, not everyone thinks that way. Not everyone thinks that way. So, and there are some people, you could still get their vote if you're going to improve on things, but they really have to frame this. Are people really going to trust her? I would not trust her. Folks, this portion of the program. Now remember, if you're having a problem with your feet or your ankle, contact Greenville Foot and Ankle Specialist today, 401-949-3220. 401-949-3220. Greenville Foot and Ankle Specialist, right in the Smithfield Medical Center. Beautiful building, ample parking. They have 3 doctors right there, board certified, who are ready to serve you. They take all health insurance. Greenville foot and ankle specialists, and they can treat skin conditions, bunions, hammer toe. They could treat a fracture or sprain. Don't let problems with your feet impact quality of life. And it can. There are some people like, well, I'm no longer walking anymore. Come on, what is that? Foot pain is not normal, but let them treat you. Call them, set up an appointment, 401 949 3220, 401 949 3220. Greenville Foot and Ankle Specialists. You can also find them online at greenvillefoothandankle.com, and they're also on Facebook. Well, folks, good afternoon. Again, you're listening to the John DePetro Show. It's AM 1380, 99.9 FM. Now, remember, you can always listen online at the website, DePetro.com. As far as road patrol, we were out last night. That was pretty busy. I like how we were right in position to be on some scenes. We will be out and available this weekend. I want to just, let's see, Massachusetts unemployment rate climbs as hiring slows, job seekers increase. That's interesting. I think a lot of that is because of COVID. Rhode Island sues 13 companies over failure of the Washington Bridge. And then, the story out of Lexington, baby found unresponsive inside car in Lexington, may have been there for hours. Child would have celebrated first birthday August 31st, never entered the daycare on the day of the death. So somehow that child was forgot. Somebody forgot the child in the car. Somebody is spaced and they're not thinking about it. And stories like that are just so devastating. But I did see, I think Rhode Island unemployment rate is up, though. I think I did see a report on that. Let me just quickly, let's see. Rhode Island job market sees decline as unemployment rate rises. Now, a problem here is Governor McGreed has chased out so many private employers. This summer, Rhode Island's seen a consecutive decline in jobs. Listen to this, an average loss of 1,100 jobs each month. 1,100 jobs a month loss. And the problem is, and there's nobody coming in. Excuse me. Nobody coming in. Nobody. Nope. Not with the McKee policies. Not with the McKee policies. Wow. I mean, these are really, really bad numbers. Last 3 months, think of this. In the last 3 months, the state has lost close to 4,000 jobs. And no companies coming in. And folks, this is the problem. When you have a pay-to-play atmosphere, when you have that, in order to do business in the state, you got to pay people off. Honest businesses they don't want to come in. They're not going to want to come in. That's what I meant. In July, Rhode Island-based business experienced a setback of 400 jobs. Despite the report, nationwide jobs were increasing. So the unemployment rate in the state is rising. And the Department of Labor and Training says 10,000 people have been unemployed over the year. They claim there are 26,000 people seeking work right now. Now, again, when you see Governor McKee in these press conferences, everything's about a grant. Everything's about a federal grant. Everything's about we're getting money for this. And we're going to get money for this. And everything is about that. There's nothing, you don't see anything about them pitching an employer. And I loved when we had Blake Filippi on not too long ago. And he's exactly right, by the way. Blake talked about, I think he went to Austin, Texas. I mean, as far as the eye can see, there are cranes in the sky. That's all private money building things. I'll tell you a problem that Governor McKee has, and the state has, by the way. a problem that the state has and also that Governor McKee has is right now, Rhode Island Governor Dan McKee, and that's why I enjoy talking with Justin Katz every Monday with our segment Politics This Week, is everything is about hiring people at the State House and jobs with the state and cities and towns and blah, 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 and everything like that. And there's, as soon as there's some federal cuts, or if the state's not getting that money, there's nothing to sustain it. The leading employer of the state, I know it's the state of Rhode Island, but they just keep adding jobs. And then when the federal money runs out, everything then runs out. So the unemployment, I think a real question is just, and what are the viable jobs that are available? That's why, folks, I mean, I believe at this point, you would need intervention at a federal level to cut down on the practices of which the McKee administration sets everything up. And also keep in mind, there is no guarantee that the federal government is going to help pay for this Washington Bridge. Folks, this portion of the program is brought to you by J. Perry Paving. Now, if you're listening on this Friday and you're thinking of getting your driveway paved, give them a call, 401-732-1730. Letter J, J. Perry Paving. Free quote, J. Perry Paving. Always high quality, fair pricing, exceptional service, free estimate for your driveway or your parking lot. Letter J, J. Perry Paving, 401-732-1730. And remember, no one is better with veterans than J. Perry Paving. Call them today, 401-732-1730. Letter J, J. Perry Paving. Well, folks, good afternoon. You're listening to the John DePetro Show. It's AM 1380. It's 99.9 FM. Again, you can listen online at the website, depetro.com. So for the remaining part of today and then over the course of the weekend, as many of you know, we certainly enjoy being out there. And admittedly, you know, we benefit from the fact that this is a declining media market, that many times, you know, when I'm out there, we're the only one that's there, or many times, nothing against, I like the people at Channel 6, I get along with them, but many times they run really skeletal crew on the weekend, so it's me out there with Channel 10 or Channel 12, and then the more that local media declines, it's just better. So we'll be very busy. You know, I'm looking at supposedly the sun. It's going to be a beautiful afternoon and beautiful night. We're definitely going to do road patrol. And then tomorrow, at least it's not going to rain this weekend and then rain coming in next week. But we'll be very, very active. Now, remember, if you'd like to see some of our road patrol, road patrol live, you can log on to our YouTube channel, live onto the YouTube channel, John DePetro Show. Now, remember, if you log on to our website, depetro.com, number one, you have the shop. There's great merchandise in there. Number two, there's links to all of our social media, whether it's Instagram, whether it's YouTube, obviously Facebook primary, and then we also have TikTok and X and Twitter. And so we continue to grow our platforms. But YouTube, you can see a lot of Road Patrol Live. And then obviously it all begins and ends right there at the website, which is depetro.com. So, and I also want to mention, I know that, right now, and I've talked about this a little bit, there are the local media definitely is in a little bit of a bash the local police mentality. And you saw it the beginning of the week that they were going after the Providence police. Now, those of you that watch our coverage with Road Patrol Live, One on the Scene, what I don't hear anyone in the media talk about is the level of policing that the Providence police now, and I'll just talk about them. I mean, as many of you know, I mean, I've been out with Woonsocket, obviously Cranston. We covered stories, Johnston, Warwick, West Warwick, East Providence, Pawtucket, but just what I thought was so unfair about the Providence police is that at no point does any part of the media bring up the fact that, gee, maybe it's a challenge trying to police in a sanctuary city. Maybe it's a challenge when you have so many people that flood into the capital city that are not from here, who don't speak English, who don't have a real residence here, so they're not fully vested here. Think how renters are. Think how sometimes people are if they're renting a house, they're renting a beach house. It's not the same as being an owner. You don't hear anyone mention that. I don't know why they don't mention that. I think it's unfair to do that. So I'll just say this as someone that covers the Providence police literally every single day and night, and you see when we're out there that it is not easy. It is not easy on every scene when, or not every scene, but so many times it's like, and we need a Spanish speaking officer. So that's never talked about. I don't see Channel 10 and Channel 12 talk about that. All right, two other quick reminders here. One, or three actually. Someone asked me, where was the, and I love this, where was I on Federal Hill at the upscale Mexican restaurant? That's Don Jose's Tequila, their back patio. Someone, Maureen said, are you going to be there again this weekend? I don't know. I may be there this weekend. I do love their margarita flight. I do love their brunch on Sunday, 10:30 to 3. And I like their tequila. So, and the family is just remarkable. I love them. 351 Atwells Avenue. It's so festive. Don Jose's Tequila. Now, also, let me mention, let's see, Ben. Ben sent me an email. Ben's thinking of getting a new fence and asked me, one, who is the fence company you recommend? I recommend FenceRI.com. That's who I recommend. 401-732-0555. Premier Fence and Deck Contractor, FenceRI.com. $200 discount if you mention the show. 5-star rating on Google. Licensed and insured, whether it's for pool fencing, pet fencing, privacy, security. FenceRI.com with the greatest logo, which is a fence across the state of Rhode Island. FenceRI.com. Look for them on Facebook, their website, FenceRI.com, or 401-732-0555. And then also, Nancy is thinking of getting some new siding on her house and asked me who's the company that I recommend. Nancy, contact Royal Exteriors for roof or siding. Call Andrew at 401-533-9989. I guess this one of the last storms, they're having a problem with their siding. Nancy, call Royal Exteriors where the customer is always king or queen. Free estimate. You're going to love Andrew. So knowledgeable. 401-533-9989 and online at royalexteriorsri.com. Well, folks, good afternoon. You're listening to the John DePietro Show. It's AM 1380 and 99.9 FM. And, you know, I get email from people saying a little bit, you sound nervous about the Trump campaign. I'll say this. I don't feel as confident as I did the week after the convention. And this, you know, you just reach a point. This is a winnable election. A lot of people, it is Biden-Harris. It is Biden-Harris. And she's been part and parcel of this. I know the way that they're trying to spin this to say that, well, maybe she wasn't the best. Maybe she'd be better as president. I fail to see that. I believe firmly that President Trump, is it fair that they've swapped out candidates? I don't know what to tell you. I mean, of course, it doesn't matter whether it's fair. That's the reality that you're dealing with. And by all accounts, they have to change up the strategy. If the strategy was that it's going to be Biden and you don't have to do anything, and President Trump could just stay at Mar-a-Lago and golf, and they're basically going to win in a landslide, then fine. But that's not what's going on. And I'm not convinced she's going to do any interviews. So why? She doesn't need to. The only thing that she's trying to do is win this election. Period. End of story. And so if what you're doing is not working, they need to change it up. and make the argument, because she is not ready for prime time. She is not ready to be the president. We don't want or need her to be the president. The country would be better off under President Trump. They just have to make their case to the appropriate people. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to break for the 1 o'clock news. Yes, Facebook Live later. And another full hour to go of the radio show. Leave it right here. It's the John DePetro Show. And we're back on the other side after the 1 o'clock news.